Alright, the next book I got from my grandpa was also this piano quartet book. Ernesto Lacona, the first piano quartet. Now, I'm not going to play these because it's a piano quartet, you know. It's piano. It's not that interesting. But what is interesting is what I got here. I Can Hear It Now. It's narrated by Edward Murrow and Fred Friendly. It's about basically World War II. It's the years 1933 through 1945. And the thing about this is, it's not only is it an amazing history lesson, but it's really different when you get to hear these people. You get to hear Eisenhower, Churchill, Roosevelt, LaGuardia, Wilkie, Stalin, Hitler, Al Smith, Chamberlain, Truman, Dewey, MacArthur, Duke of Windsor, D-Day and the Hindenburg explosion, FDR's funeral procession, and Lou Gehrig's farewell. And take a look at these people. There's somebody. There's a guy. My grandpa said this guy looked like a fish. Winston Churchill. I don't know who that is. I think that's FDR. I'm not sure. There's Chamberlain. He looks really pissed. There's the Hindenburg explosion. There's the front of Led Zeppelin 1 for you. As you can see, I need to retape that because that's just, falling apart. But anyway, these discs are most definitely from the 40s, and they're in pristine condition. Look at this. They are in incredible condition, and they sound great. There's not a whole lot of noise. I mean, 78's generally do have noise, but these don't have as much noise. They're in excellent condition. Now I'm going to play one of these records for you guys just so you can hear how powerful it is just to hear these actual snippets of history and how these people talk. And these records themselves are part of history, so you're hearing history as history perceived it. It's amazing. Anyway, without further ado, side 1.
These are the sounds of days that are past. We record a new dimension of history. A scrapbook of sounds from 13 years of violence and achievement. Part of the greatest mass adventure man has yet undertaken. A voice can cut through the hazy fog of time and bring yesterday's images sharply into focus. Do you recognize this voice?
You hold the distinction of being the only nation in the history of the world that ever went to the poorhouse in an automobile.
That was the voice of Will Rogers, trying to teach America how to laugh its way through a depression. 1933 was dark all over the world. Japan was already in Manchuria, and the League of Nations was dying in Geneva. In Germany, the Reichstag fire was history. So was the Weimar Republic. In Italy, Benito Mussolini had translated a people's search for security into savage conquest. In rich, fertile America, fear and uncertainty lay heavy upon the land.
Our greatest primary task is to put people to work.
Franklin D. Roosevelt stood beside Chief Justice Hughes on the steps of the Capitol on that raw afternoon of March 4th, and a nation with 15 million unemployed listened.
So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed effort to convert retreat into advance.
The first year of the New Deal was vigorous, desperate, experimental, and like a surgeon's most powerful drugs, dangerous. Franklin Roosevelt and his corps of political practitioners, Hopkins, Tugwell, Moley, Wallace, and Hugh Johnson, created the most controversial administration since Lincoln. And yet, either because of it or in spite of it, the patient revived and prospered. Production and employment were up. The soup kitchens and the apple stands disappeared. But a nervous America was still not sufficiently removed from panic to disregard completely the promises and plans of political soothsayers such as Townsend, Coghlan, and Huey Long.
The bank accounts show that 1/150th part of the people own 2/3 of all the money that's in the bank. The only way by which we can ever bring this country out is to redistribute the wealth.
1936 was the year in which the state of New Jersey electrocuted Bruno Richard Hauptmann for the Lindbergh kidnapping. It was also a presidential election year. But the biggest news story was in London and concerned political intrigue, an empire, a Baltimore beauty, and the King of England. On the night of December 11th, as Big Ben tolled the hour, London cinemas were deserted, New York subways empty at their usual rush hour. In Eugene, Oregon, and Johannesburg, you could hear the world quiet down.
This is Windsor Castle. His Royal Highness Prince Edward.
At long last, I am able to say a few words of my own. I have never wanted to withhold anything. But until now, it has not been constitutionally possible for me to speak. But you must believe me when I tell you that I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do, without the help and support of the woman I love. And now we all have a new king. I wish him and you, his people, happiness and prosperity with all my heart. God bless you all. God save the king.
And there you have it. History is powerful when you actually hear it, in my opinion, and see it too. And yeah, that's just an example. I mean, I listened to this entire thing earlier as well, and it's just incredible to listen to this stuff. It really is. And this is the only 78 player I have, so, you know. Well, that is the end of these rare 78s that I managed to borrow from my grandpa for a while. So I can appraise them and also hopefully transfer them as well, and, you know, just listen to them as well. I hope you enjoyed seeing this treat. It's not too often that you can get your hands on these old 78s and as good of box sets as this before. So I hope you enjoyed this little trip back in memory lane. So, yeah. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.